Hello, everyone. We are going to start our novel today. I hope that you guys are doing well at home. I know I'm certainly missing you, and this makes me a bit sad because I love this story and I can't wait to share it with you. But we are going to get started here with chapter 1 of Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, called The Old Sea Dog at the Admiral Benbow. And you're probably like, Miss I, what kind of story is this? Well, you're about to dive right into it. So, we're starting off in our story narrated by our main character named Jim Hawkins. He's a young boy, so he's really relatable to you guys because he's a teenager like you, maybe a little bit younger, maybe around 12. We're not quite sure on his age. But he starts off his story by saying, Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and the rest of these gentlemen have asked me to write down the whole particulars about Treasure Island, from the beginning to the end, keeping nothing back but the bearings of the island, and that only because there is still treasure not yet lifted. I take up my pen in the year of grace 17. Wait a minute. Okay. And go back to the time when my father kept the Admiral Benbow Inn, and the brown old seaman with the saber cut first took up his lodging under our roof. So Jim is telling this story from the point in the future as an adult. So we know that whatever happens to him, he survives it, and he's telling the story now. Okay, he's also telling a story about this place called Treasure Island, and he's keeping nothing back about what happened in the story except for the bearings of the island. That means where the island is located. Why? Because there's treasure there, and he doesn't want people to go looking for it. He also leaves out the end date here of 17 something. So we know it takes place in the 1700s. We just don't know when that takes place. And again, Jim is keeping that away from our knowledge because he wants us to know. He doesn't want us to know, or the readers of this story to know, where this island is and when these events happened. Okay. I remember him as if it were yesterday as he came plodding along to the inn door, his sea chest following behind him in a hand barrow. A tall, strong, heavy, nut-brown man, his tarry pigtail falling over the shoulder of his soiled blue coat, his hands ragged and scarred and black broken nails, with the saber cut across one cheek, a dirty, livid white. So Jim is remembering a time as a child when his dad ran an inn. Back then in the 1700s, people didn't really travel a lot, so inns were super important because that's where they stayed. And this guy just suddenly comes up. Now, Jim and his dad live in the country. They're poor. Their family doesn't make a whole lot. So it's kind of like someone who lives in like a farm in Wisconsin. All of a sudden, like a gangster shows up. Like that would be a modern day equivalent, like a really scary looking dude. Okay. So this guy shows up. He's got dark skin, which means he's been out in the sun a lot. So he's not saying nut brown as in he's black. He's saying he's a well-traveled guy. So his skin is brown from being out in the sun. He's got a lot of scars. He's got a big saber cut, meaning a sword cut across one cheek, which means somebody slashed open his face at one point with a sword. Okay. And his nails are like black and broken, which means he gets into a lot of fights. So this guy just shows up at their house with a giant treasure chest and a wheelbarrow. Okay. And he's singing this song. I'm gonna do my best here. 15 men on a dead man's chest. Yo ho ho. And a bottle of rum. In a high old tottering voice that seemed to have been tuned and broken at the capstan bars, meaning Jim is throwing a bit of shade here. He's like, this guy sounds like a broken keyboard. What the heck? Sounds terrible. Okay. And he rapped on the front door with a bit of stick that he carried. And when my father appeared, called roughly for a glass of rum. Doesn't say hi. Doesn't say, how are you today? Do you have room in your inn? No. What does he do? Give me some beer. So this is the end of the first chapter. We'll pause here and resume with the next video.